few years ago, I met this comedian who was very fun, smart, and quick. His name is Wile, and today I am going to ask him different tips how we can use humor and stand-up comedy to improve our life, to make it funner. Let's go, come down. Wile. I'm so excited I just can't hide it. I'm so glad to have you here on the show.
I'm so glad to be here also.
Oh, and we're here to talk about your number one topic, stand-up comedy.
I'm gonna try. I don't know how good am I gonna be explaining these things or like telling the story, but I'm gonna try my best.
Okay, so humble. So first question for you, dear Wile. Can you give a definition of stand-up comedy and how different it is to comedy?
So what I would say is stand-up comedy is someone standing on the stage and having nothing but the mic and their stories. They will not be using any, costumes, any characters, any help with. I mean, some would do, lighting and alternative stuff, but the purest form of stand-up comedy is just basically stand there and make people laugh, with jokes.
It's stand and do comedy.
Yeah, just stand up. So the thing is, it's different with, I would say, if we talk about the Vietnamese scene, people seen a lot of comedy sketches, people performing comedy in a character. And the one thing that I have observed that is different is the fourth wall. I don't know if you know that term, right? We talk about movies, we talk about plays and stuff. So the characters in the fourth wall, you're gonna see them, they're not gonna see you. They're gonna react to whatever is in the scene. As a stand-up comedian, we don't have that. So it feels very risky because every time you're gonna go on stage and like, I'm saying something funny. And then somebody is in the crowd gonna be like, no, that's bad.
Heckling.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to handle it. It's not like you're gonna ignore it.
You can't ignore it.
I'm in my world, you're in your world. No, that's not how stand-up comedy works. How it works is you have to participate in that conversation, that one-way dialogue. I would say one-way dialogue is interesting because you're the only one speaking, but the audience is also speaking to you.
So it's not a monologue.
Yeah, it's not a monologue. It's a dialogue because you actually look at them and you see how they respond and you see how they like, oh, that's a good one. No. What the?
That's I noticed that.
Yeah. And you have to take all that information in and make it work because at the end of the day, you have to make people laugh.
Actually, next question for you. How to be funny and how to get the right type of laugh?
I'm still figuring it out. Because, I think, because I would say I'm still like a middle level comedian. I'm not like a grand comedian. I'm not someone in it for 20 years. But what I would say is, now that you've done comedy for a while, making people laugh is not too hard, but making people laugh in the right intention could be more difficult. So I would say this, you can make people laugh by messing up your lines. You can make people laugh by flustering and not doing a good job. They will still laugh, maybe at you.
Not with you.
Yeah, and I don't know, but as a comedian, do you want people to laugh at you? Or do you want the comment to like make them laugh with you and respond to whatever you're saying? So I think that is more of the challenge of a comedian, is to make people laugh and make people feel the things that they're feeling. A lot of comedians talk about stuff that they hate, talk about stuff that they love, talk about stuff that they're angry with, talk about stuff that they are, confused about, things that they think are stupid. And all of that are emotions, but they make it funny. People will laugh and people will say, yes, I get that. I also relate to that. And I think that's the challenge, to get the right kind of laughter. So to be funny is to understand people. Yeah, really understand what makes them tick, really understand how to relate to other people, really understand how to speak their language. Because what you find funny might not be funny to everyone, but if you speak their language, maybe you will find a way to communicate it and make them get it. Yeah.
I like this idea that comedy is not so much about you, but it's you with the others. It's mostly about the others. You
Yeah.
adapting to the others.
Yeah. So I think that the bridge is basically you will have to find a way to convince people that what you think is funny is also funny to them. It's not, I'm going to try to think what is going to make you laugh, what is going to make you laugh, because there's 100 people. So you can't please everybody. You can only be authentic and just say what you think is funny in a way that most people, the most amount of people would find funny also. So I think that's the skill, the ability to translate whatever is in your brain that you find funny and interesting to a language that more people can understand. And that's the skill of a comedian.
And according to you, what comedy should be like? What it should be about?
Okay. I think this really depends on the comedian you ask, because there's a lot of different comedians who kind of utilize comedy as a tool for a way for them to express. Like, for example, I would love social commentary comedy, because I think it's a good vehicle to talk about stuff in a way that is not serious, but at the same time make people think about it. Because sometimes we would rather listen to comedy than, a very oppressive, aggressive debate on topics. But social commentary, like, do both of that at the same time. It makes you think, and also it makes you laugh. And it's like, wait, that's painful. Wait, that's scary. Why are we not talking about that stigma? Yeah, so that's from me. But there are also comedians who are like, oh, let's be absurd. How absurd can you be with your comedy? Let's be very entertaining and relatable. Let's be very, surreal. So it comes down to the artist and what they want to express with their comedy. I still think comedy is a vehicle, and it's a way to relate to people and to make people, put everything down to what I call a moral ground zero. You don't really talk about comedy without thinking about the morals and the ideas. We laugh about a lot of bad stuff. Yeah, think about it. We laugh a lot about bad stuff, and then jokes make us look at it in a different perspective. And we don't really consider the normal, like, moral stuff anymore. We just think about it like, oh, it's a joke. Yeah. And I can laugh at it. And now I can think about all the other stuff that surrounds it, and it's not in the dark anymore. It's not scary anymore. Yeah, we can make it positive. So that's what I want to do with comedy.
Actually, speaking of you, you're doing great transitions, by the way. Speaking of you, so you're one of the founders of Saigon Teo.
Yeah.
You write in both English and Vietnamese. Comedy is all your life, basically.
Oh.
Right? Comedy, acting, emceeing, like entertainment.
Yeah.
I was wondering, what would you be without comedy? Like, what did it bring to you?
Oh, I mean, I got through a lot of difficult times with comedy. I never considered myself a funny person in the past. I'll be honest, because I was a very introverted. I still am. But I thought, you have to be an extrovert to be funny and to be making jokes and to be interacting with other people. Until there was one point that I tried stand-up comedy in English first, at a bar where, my parents can't get there, so I can say whatever I want. And it was interesting because that was one of the first time I realized, I can do this because I can stand on stage and just talk about my thoughts and my feeling. Of course, it has to be funny so that people can listen to it. But, and then I tried it and I realized it was somewhat therapeutic to me because I could look at all the bad stuff in my life and I could look at it in a different way, in a different perspective. And the moment I can make a joke out of it. I remember there was one experience I talked about bullying, because I dealt with bullying in the past, and then I made a joke out of it. And when people laugh and I was on stage, I felt like, people get it now. They understand the pain that I went through, and it's okay. I'm telling them that it's okay. So I'm okay. And other people who went through the same thing is now probably gonna feel like, it's not that bad.
And they connect with you.
Yeah, and they connect with me. So that's why I love it, and that's why I keep doing it. even though now I would be more focused on the kind of educational part of it. I want more people to start doing comedy. I want more kids to try going to an open mic and saying whatever is on their mind first. Maybe it's not that funny yet, but try it. Because I do believe it has a really big link. Laughter has a really big link to self-expression and mental health. So that's kind of why I kept doing it. Yeah, not exactly to be an entertainer or to be a celebrity or whatever, but more as a form of expressing myself and helping others with it.
Actually, now that you're saying this, I saw you perform comedy like 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, at that time there was a Singaporean artist coming here, and you were very serious on stage. You didn't show much emotion, but you were so sarcastic, so quick, so fast. It was impressive, but I can see your evolution since then. Like you got more, like taking more space.
Yeah, now that I'm doing it in Vietnamese also, it's just like I used to do this character was very deadpan. It's just like, I'm gonna talk like this.
Yeah.
But as a Vietnamese, and I know that the cultural difference, so people would be like, what is going on? That is weird, because they're not very used to seeing that kind of character yet. So when I do it in Vietnamese, I kind of have to adapt the style. Sure. I have to be a little bit more, communicative and like what they're used to, but my content stays kind of somewhat the same, because I do like sarcastic stuff. I do like it when comedy makes you pause for like a minute, like what, and I just like that reaction. So that's how I play with comedy, and that's how I kind of insert little bits and pieces of social commentary in it. So yeah, it's an evolution for sure, but I still love what I do in both languages, and especially in Vietnamese, because it brought me to a much bigger audience. And now that I find a lot of people resonate with the work that I do, and also some hates it, but it's fine.
It's normal. It means you're famous. If you have famous, then you're famous, so that's great. The more the merrier.
I hope so.
Well, actually, I was wondering, you mentioned it like Vietnamese comedy. I'm curious to see what are the differences between Vietnamese humor and like international humor, and how do you navigate between both?
So recently I read this kind of like research-based quiz that talks about the 4 types of humor, and I found it interesting. I'm going to tell you. So basically, they would say like there's 4 types, and they on 2 sides, the friendly side and the aggressive side, and the more introverted side and extroverted side. That would make like 4 different types, right? So there would be one that is called a magnet, which is someone who is very charming and they talk in a way that is very relatable to people, and they make jokes that relate to everyone and makes people feel good about themselves. That's the first type, the magnet. So they attract you. The second type is a sweetheart. So very cute, very nice. They're very, they don't want to offend you. So they're very cutesy, and they don't really dare to, make jokes that are out there. So they're very sweet. So that's 2 types on this side, which is the friendly side. And then the aggressive side, there's 2 types. One is actually called stand-up.
Stand-up.
Stand-up. Stand-up itself is a type. So basically anyone who's willing to go the extra mile and like stepping out of the boundaries to like make jokes and not afraid of like hurting anyone's feelings, because no, it's jokes. Relax. And they're very willing to they were very willing to like challenge minds when they talk about comedy. So that's one type. That's stand-up. That's the aggressive and extroverted type. And then there's me, which is called a sniper. So someone who is very who's more interested in sarcastic, like kind of material, and more on deadpan delivery. And they would like stuff that is more layered. Yeah. And that's also on the aggressive side, because they're not afraid of making a jokes and making people split over that joke. It's like, oh, I love it, I hate it. So as a Vietnamese, I realize a lot of people's sense of humor falls over on this side, the friendly side. Yeah, because it's also, I think it's a cultural thing. Vietnamese people and Asian people in general, we are very friendly. we are taught to be very talk about stuff that makes people feel good. Like that's how our parents teach us, just choose the right words to talk to people, be careful before saying anything that hurts people's feelings. So those values are like in our blood, right? So most people I find in Vietnamese, they lean towards this type of humor more, and this kind of scares them. But this is very stand-up. Like stand-up comedy is mostly on this side. It's very abrasive, it's very aggressive, it's very thought-provoking. So I realize I'm doing this in a market that is mostly this. And that's a challenge, but it's an interesting challenge because I feel like over the next few years, it will start to shift. Because a lot of Asian markets are the same. Asian markets exposure to stand-up comedy, they also like, where is the line? What is the line? And everyone is afraid of crossing it, but some has to cross it in order for you. Yeah, in order for you to see the line, somebody has to cross the line, right? So I think that's the challenge that I'm facing right now, and sometimes it would make me think a lot about what the next step is, but I think it's an exciting challenge to have. Yeah.
We totally forgot about the Vietnamese and international.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good. We got the idea.
Yeah.
And I want to come back on something you mentioned earlier: the fact that you want to encourage people to try stand-up. Which skills do you think stand-up comedy can develop?
A lot, actually. I think, so first of all, we all know that the biggest fear for people is public speaking, more than sharks and heights and snakes. But I think stand-up adds another layer to it because, you're afraid of public speaking because you don't know what to say. And now you're standing on stage and people are expecting you to make them laugh. Yeah. That's another layer of pressure. So stand-up comedy is a lot of pressure. But I think it teaches you a lot about, let's talk about hard skills, right? Communication skills. Let's talk about the public speaking skills, of course, the way to express your body language, the way to kind of time your jokes with the setup and the punchlines. There's a lot of skills. But more importantly, I think stand-up comedy makes you a more authentic speaker. Yeah, because as I worked in, public speaking also, I see a lot of people are too focused on the hard skills. It's like, oh, I need to be presenting myself like this. I have to have my back straight and I have to have this body language. It's like to make a point. And my voice have to be like this, and it's all very good, but are we trying to make it look too good? And too perfect.
Actually, it's something that I'm facing here in Vietnam. I see a lot of my colleagues on Vietnamese TV. They're just perfect. Yeah. Like they say the right word at the right, but they don't have flows. Yeah. I think comedy allows you to have this kind of moments and play with it. Somebody say boo, you go on it.
And you have to have a flaw to be funny. Let's be honest. Like no perfect character is funny. Let's think about it. So I think that's a very important mindset that stand-up comedy teach you, that you always have the next line. It's okay to mess up. Messing up is fun. And when I try to teach students, I really want to encourage that mindset because I think that's a growth mindset.
Yeah.
If not, then it's going to be a fixed mindset. You're going to stay there. It's like you're going to keep doing the same thing. You're going to try to be very tactical with how you present yourself, but it's not authentic and it's not original either. Because everyone is different because they have different flaws. If you don't make any, mistakes, you're going to look the same. Yeah. Everyone is going to look the same. They're going to talk the same. They're going to sound the same. They're going to express their body language in the same way. And it's boring. Yeah. So I think that's the most important skill, even though it's more like a mindset. I think that's the most important skill. And of course, you also learn the other hard skills. Yeah, you also learn how to speak properly, how to express how to write, how to do a lot of stuff. But the mindset is most important.
I like the idea that after talking to you, we can really see that stand-up is really like a discipline. It's like a muscle. Like you go to the gym, you practice. So stand-up, it's a way of seeing life the way of seeing challenges, your own flaws, your own personality, and it's like bring up and
you
try to
have to
connect.
do it. You have to do it a lot to kind of get it. It's not like you're gonna learn from 5, 6 different books and suddenly you're a stand-up comedian. You have to bomb like a few times, maybe 100 times to start getting it. And that's why I want a lot of people to do it, even though it's like a one-time thing is still okay. Maybe try it for once and just see how you do it and how you present yourself, and you start to see what's missing when you communicate to people. It's the highest stakes of public speaking for me. So if you pass that, then nothing else should be scary, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, learn at home. And actually, what would be your one piece of advice for people who are starting or who want to start but still hesitating? How can you encourage them?
I would say start with things you find funny. Yeah, this is very important because I think a lot of people starting out with comedy, they would watch a lot of comedians. They would see a lot of experienced comedians doing high-level stuff. They would start to think, how do I accomplish something similar? So they would start copying the other acts, or they would start to see. I'm going to give an example. There's a lot of memes online that are funny to a lot of people. And they're gonna think, oh, those stuff are the popular stuff, and I should write jokes, or I should try to perform stuff that has the same feeling, what I call internet jokes. So the bad thing about that is, first of all, it's not authentic. If I'm gonna listen to a meme, then I might as well read it. I don't need you to be delivering it to me. Just hand me the piece of paper. I'm going to read it and I'm going to laugh on my own. I don't need you, right? But I want to see you. I think you are more interesting than a meme. You are more interesting than a joke, a well-constructed joke, even though it sounds like a Bill Burr or like a Dave Chappelle joke. No. What do you think is funny? Like, I want to see that because that would be very unique. Of course, at first you won't have the skills to kind of translate it to other people, but believe in it first. I've seen a lot of open mics where a kid who's like, I don't know what to do, but I like what I'm saying. I like my jokes, and he would stand there and he would kill only because everyone is like, oh, I believe in what he's saying. And I'm not laughing, but I'm smiling. That's a good start. That's a better start than, a bunch of jokes that you found on the internet and you try to rewrite it to make it sound different, and you deliver that and everyone's like, okay, what's next? It's not you. So I think that would be the most important tip.
So being you, being authentic.
Being authentic and being true to whatever you think is funny, and then you would find ways to convince other people. Yeah.
Actually, when we met, you also mentioned something very interesting. You're like, comedy, like laughing is important, but you need to connect first.
Yeah.
Can you come back on this idea, please?
Yeah. So I think a lot of people come to a comedy show. If you see it on like TV, or if you see it on Netflix or through like a video, you're not gonna feel the energy of the room. The reality is, most people going into a show, a comedy show, they don't know anyone. They might be only knowing their friends. They would be sitting around. Some are girls, and then someone say a very sexual joke, and then suddenly they're like, wait, I shouldn't laugh because they will think I'm a bad person. So there's a lot of judgment when it comes to laughing and comedy. Comedy is connection first for me, because the comedian needs to be there, needs to be saying, hey guys, I'm bad. Like I'm miserable. I have flaws, and I'm here poking, fun at those flaws because it's okay. I'm comfortable. I'm laughing. You guys can laugh too. Nobody's gonna judge you because you're like slapping the other person. It's fine. So we need to be establishing that safe space first. Yeah, it's a safe space where everyone is like, we can laugh. It's okay. We're all in this together. We're all miserable sometimes, but tonight we're laughing about that misery. We all have flaws. We all have thoughts that are, concerning. But the comedian is expressing that I'm like that too. I connect with you guys. I understand what you guys are going through. And that is the first step to build a trust. And then the laughter would come. Even though I see this a lot, there are a lot of times that people would just laugh without jokes because they're so connected to the comedian already. Like the comedian just need to do like this and suddenly they laugh. So I think that's the beauty of stand-up comedy as an art form also, because you're witnessing something that happens there and only there.
At this moment.
Yeah, at this very moment, only that, at that moment, only, even though the jokes are the same, every night it's going to be different. The way that you connect with that audience is going to be different. And as a comedian myself, the more times I realize I get to connect with people who are more diverse, the more satisfied I am. Like when I could make someone at the age of my mom laugh, suddenly I'm like, oh, I'm doing something good. That's why, or like I can make children laugh, for example, especially when it's like safe content.
Safe content.
Yeah. So that is the challenge of a comedian, is to be able to connect to more people and make them laugh and make them feel safe. Yeah.
Wow. I think it's very inspiring. Even like after doing this interview right now, I'm like, oh, I want to do more comedy. Like, it makes me want to do
You
more.
should.
And you make it so like not easy, but you make it feasible.
Yeah.
Like everybody can do it. Like
everybody can do it. I think everybody can do it. I should do it. Yeah. Of course, being good is
another thing. That's another thing.
It's a whole journey. It's about how hard you're willing to work, I think. And again, I would say it's about how hard you're willing to work. It's not really about how talented you are. Of course, people are talented. There are people who are more, talented in the beginning, but that only gives you a head start.
Yeah.
Like a head start is not going to win you the marathon. It's not. You still have to do the work.
It's like charisma. Charisma can bring people to you, but then you still need to have something to say, so they're staying.
Yeah, for the next 15 minutes or 30 minutes. Right. Yeah, not the first 5 minutes, the charisma is gone. People are like, where's the content? Yeah, so I think it's a lot of hard work.
Wow. But it's great work. And we're actually coming towards the end of our interview. I know time is flying.
Yeah.
But besides stand-up comedy, I was wondering, Wille, do you have one piece of advice to make our life better, like to become a better person on a daily basis?
I would say the same with laughter. I think we are taught to kind of suppress our feelings and emotions a lot nowadays. Especially, just think about the moment in the past as when you're a kid and you're gonna laugh when you think something is funny, and you're gonna cry when something bad happens to you. As you grow up, you go to school, and then you would joke about something, and the teacher is like, don't laugh. You have to discipline yourself. I know the context, but suddenly you feel like laughter is a bad thing. And people start to see you as a not serious person. People are going to judge you, so stop laughing. But when are we going to, excuse ourselves for having emotions like that, and crying also. Like in the movie theater, you're a guy and then you cry, and it's like, oh, you're a guy, why are you crying? You're a man, like man up, so then you don't cry. I think that's not very healthy. Yeah, and the reason why I do stand up and I do comedy, and after a while I realized being in touch with your emotions is very important. So I would schedule times to cry.
Wow. Okay, schedule time to cry, guys.
Yeah, no, because I'm half joking, but there's one video that I really love, which is the opening montage of the movie Up. That works every time for me if I want to schedule a cry. Yeah, and I feel like experiencing those emotions and being okay with expressing them is reminds you of that you're a human. And I think that most people I found who are very eloquent speakers, who are very good comedians, they are very in touch with their emotions, and their communication will be very authentic, very persuasive. So I would give that as a tip. Yeah, express your emotions and embrace them, so that it would actually help you be more successful at work. It
in
is.
your life.
Yeah, and in your life, you will be less miserable.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Willie, for your advice, for your insight, for your wisdom and your knowledge regarding stand-up. Yes, you are a very wise person. At least to me, guys. Let us know, what do you think? Is he wise? Is he super wise?
I try.
But it was amazing to talk to you about this topic, and I hope, guys, this video will encourage you to try stand-up comedy.
Okay.
Can you tell us, to finish, where can we find you on Saigon Teo?
Yeah, so I think you guys can find us on Saigon Teo, that the social media, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, whatever everyone is on, and we're on there.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, and also you can find me at like Relay Comedy, and I do content on comedy and also Vietnamese, if you want to learn.
I do. I use videos as well.
Yeah.
Very great material.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Willie.
So much.